Imagine you're living 20,000 years ago. Someone you love collapses. They stop moving. Their chest barely rises. Their skin feels cold. Everyone around you is already panicking. Someone is crying. Someone is saying it's over. Someone may already be preparing the body for burial. But there's one terrifying problem. How do you actually know they're dead? No doctor, no machine, no stethoscope, no heartbeat monitor, just your eyes. And for most of human history, your eyes could be dangerously wrong. Today, death feels obvious. A doctor checks. A machine confirms it. Paperwork is signed. Ancient humans had none of that. And that meant one horrifying possibility was always hanging in the air. What if the person wasn't dead yet? That fear changed how humans watched bodies, delayed burials, built rituals, and thought about death itself. Because ancient people were not just afraid of dying. They were afraid of burying the wrong person too early. For most of history, humans had only a few basic signs to go by. Was the person breathing? Did they respond? Did the body feel warm? Did the eyes react? That sounds simple. But the human body can enter states that look almost exactly like death. A person with severe hypothermia can have breathing so shallow you barely see it. Their heartbeat can slow down so much that, to an untrained observer, they appear completely gone. Deep fainting. Certain comas. Seizure aftermath. Even rare states of rigid paralysis could make someone look dead while they were still alive. To us, that sounds like a medical problem. To ancient humans, it was a nightmare. Because if someone looked dead in a dark shelter, in freezing weather, with frightened family members surrounding them, there was no reliable way to know for sure. This is where things get interesting. A lot of ancient funerary customs were not only about honoring the dead, they were also about waiting. In many places, bodies were watched for hours, sometimes longer, before burial. Family members stayed nearby. People observed the body. They looked for changes. No living person could fake for long. Not movement, not words. Real physical proof. The smell of decomposition, changes in skin color, rigid limbs that did not relax, a body that clearly continued to shut down. In other words, time itself became the test. And that may be one reason the tradition of awake became so powerful. Staying awake beside the body was not just grief. It was also caution. The ancient world was full of conditions people didn't understand but absolutely experienced. A person could collapse from cold, shock, infection, head injury, or lack of oxygen and appear lifeless. And remember, ancient humans didn't need to know the medical name for something to fear it. They only needed to see it happen once. One person buried too soon. One body that moved unexpectedly. One story passed through a tribe. That alone would be enough to make an entire community more careful forever. This is how fear becomes ritual, not from stupidity, from memory. We often imagine ancient people as careless or primitive. But on this issue, they may have been surprisingly cautious. If you have no machines, then your only tools are observation, shared judgment, and patience. So instead of trusting one quick glance, people often relied on multiple witnesses, multiple signs, and time. That is actually a kind of diagnostic system. A crude one, yes, but still a system. And in some ways, it makes sense. Because even modern medicine treats death as something that must be carefully confirmed. That should tell you how serious the problem really is. This fear didn't disappear when prehistory ended. Long after ancient humans, many societies still worried about mistaken death. In later centuries, stories, records, and burial anxieties kept resurfacing around the idea of people being declared dead too early. That fear became so strong that, much later, people even designed safety coffins. Coffins built around the possibility that someone might wake up underground. Think about how insane that is. An entire invention category existed because humans were never fully confident they could always tell death from something that only looked like death. That fear is ancient. The tools changed. The fear didn't. So how did ancient humans know someone was really dead? The honest answer is, sometimes they didn't. Not immediately. That's why they waited. Why they watched. Why they built rituals around the body. Why death was treated slowly, carefully, and communally. Because in a world without doctors, the worst mistake was not just losing someone you loved. It was letting them go too soon. And maybe that's the real meaning behind some of humanity's oldest death rituals. Not superstition, not mystery. Just one terrified question, repeated across thousands of years. Are we absolutely sure?